Hi everybody, I'm Joe Salvamini. I'm principal of Carlson Home Hospital School, and I would like to welcome you to the Supplemental Teacher Orientation video, Part 4, and this video is probably on one of the most important documents that you will be working with Carlson, and it's called the Register Payroll. The Register Payroll form, sometimes we refer to it in emails and as just R/P, but the Register Payroll form tracks two things, as the title kind of insinuates, and that's it tracks student attendance, as well as it also tracks the time that we are to be paying you as a supplemental teacher. Okay, you will also include information on the Register Payroll about the student's E-dates, their L-dates, whether the student is special ed, whether they have an IEP or not, what their EL level is, their grade, their age, things like that. Okay, and I want to go over, now this is a sample Register Payroll, and you should have one. Well, you will get one once you start working with us, but I want to go over a number of the elements in here. Okay, the first element is that when I send you, or your rep sends you the Register Payrolls, you usually get them semester by semester, so it's like months 1 through 5 or 6 through 10, and they'll all be together. The very first thing you need to do when you open up that document is that you need to save it onto your desktop, but you don't save it with the title that it's sent to you with. What you do is that you take the title, and at the very end of the title you do a space, and then you add your last name. Okay, this way we know when we get that document emailed into us, and you will be emailing it in on a weekly basis, but when we get that document emailed into us, remember we get 200 or more of these every week, then we're going to know that that Register Payroll is for you. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. And then this becomes the document that you use for the rest of the semester. So this one starts with month 6 and it will go through month 10. And the months, I know you can't see it right now, but there's month 1, month 6, month 7, month 8, 9, and 10. And then what you have at the bottom, you also have mileage forms. So this actually has also, you do get paid not just your hourly rate for the time that you work with students at Carlson, but you also will get reimbursed for mileage as well. And the mileage forms are embedded in this document as well. And so basically what you have is month 6 mileage, month 7 mileage, month 8 mileage, and so forth. Okay? Now, in this document you'll notice that we've got different shades of color. Basically, what you are going to be doing is that you only fill out information that's either light yellow or light green. None of the other spaces, if it's blue, if it's any other color, purple or whatever, you do not touch that. Okay, it has formulas in it and you don't want to touch it. Okay, now what you'll do is on the very first document, like month 6, what you will do is that you will put your last name, comma, first name, and your employee number. Now what happens there is that after you do your name and employee number, it automatically populates the rest of the document. So month 7 through the mileage forms as well as the Register Payroll forms will automatically be populated with the information that you put up here. Okay, then this is the meat of the Register Payroll. This is where you put your students' names, and let's see what this next. Now this chart here will tell you the different keys that we're to be using. Like here's the key chart for grade. Kindergarten, if you have a kindergarten student, the key for that is 0. So if a student is in grades 1 through 12, obviously it's 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. However, if the student is in kindergarten, it's 0. Okay, IEP, it tells you different things here to use. It's either general ed, G for general ed, R for resource, or S for special day class. And then we have the different codes here for the LEP levels. Now, important here is you'll see number sign, number sign, number sign, and that basically indicates the number of minutes that you're accounting for working with that student in a given day. If you put a capital letter A in front of the number of minutes, that means the student was absent. If you put a 0 for that day, it means you were absent. Okay, this is where you put the student's name. You will, after you put the student's name here, it doesn't say it on this form, but on the new ones that are coming out, it does say it. Then you will put the student's Carlson student ID number here. So student name, and then the Carlson ID number there. Okay, over here, here's where you have the E codes and L codes. What you need to do over here is that if the student is E-ing in on month 6, then you put the E code over here. So if the student, most of our students are E2s. Sometimes they're E3s, sometimes they're E4s, but most of them are E2s. So if that student, E'd in this month, then you would put down you would just put down a 2 in this box here. This box only pertains to numbers, not the actual letter E itself. It goes for the same thing with the L. You would just put the 1, 2, 3 or whatever the L code is, but you don't put L1, L2, and so forth. Okay. Okay. Now the other thing over here is that on almost every single box we have here, we have a drop down. So when you click on it, what will happen is 2 things will happen. You'll get a drop down, to give you the possible answers, and you will also get a little box of instructions. Now, generally speaking, when you first do this, that box of instructions shows right up where it is you want to actually put the information in. Now, the trick to that is to get rid of the box, is to actually drag the box, once it shows up, then click on it with your mouse and drag it someplace else so that this way it doesn't interfere with you, doing, your typing in here. And then it will remain wherever it is that you put it until you get out of the document and open it again. Okay? Now this is where you put in the number of minutes that you're working with the student. So whatever these say, I can't even read what it says, but you put down the number of minutes, and there are the drop downs, and and so you can either choose the drop down, choose the numbers that are in the drop down, or you can put in an acceptable number or a permissible number. And then over here to the side, you have summaries of each week, how many hours you're getting paid for. Okay, and it's directly related to what you write in here. All right, now here, if there are any types of comments that you need to make sure that we're aware of related to this legal document, at the end of this, you will be signing it here in blue ink, stating, and it will probably have an arrow in there in just a second, but you will be signing here that this document is legal. And anyway, over here, if there's anything that you want to make sure that we know about in the comments section, then write it in there. Like, for example, let's say you had a student that you had scheduled to work with the student 60 minutes, but after being there for 30 minutes, the student took ill, and you could not work with the student for the remainder of the 30 minutes. So down here you might say, on whatever date that is, February 20th or whatever, on so-and-so, I scheduled for 60 minutes, but the student took ill after 30 minutes. So you make those types of notes if you need to. generally speaking, we have nothing in here, but if you need it, it's there. Okay, we've got that. Took care of that one again. Okay, and this is basically just pointing things out. I want to point out there is a mistake up here, and for clarity purposes, this will be changed in a subsequent video, but this should not have been written here. This actually all should have been up one. But basically, what's here, like this student, we're L-ing this student out. We chose the 2, so there's the 2 right there. The student, here's the L code. The student was an L2, and that means that on the last day that you see any minutes written down, that's the date, which in this case it might have been February, whatever date that is up there, that's the date that the student was an L2. Okay? Student's name, you see the instruction box up here that you can move over if you want. Again, we have the minutes there. This student was served 100 minutes. This student was absent for 100 minutes. That was scheduled. Now, it's important that you know that if when you go out and this student is absent on that day, if you want to reschedule the student, because you don't get paid for student absences, by the way. We need to know that the student was scheduled that day, but you don't receive any pay if that student is absent. You only get paid for the time you work. If you want to reschedule the student for Thursday, so therefore the student was now scheduled for Monday, Thursday, and Friday, then that's just a change in schedule, and that student would not have actually been absent on Wednesday. It would have just been a change in schedule. Okay, and this 0 represents that you were absent. Maybe you were ill, maybe it was a personal necessity day or whatever, but you were not, the student didn't receive services that day because you were out. Okay, I'm not sure what we're pointing out there, but let's go on to the next one. Okay, I already talked about the L code and the L date, and now, much of the information that you will need, you will get a document. This is what we call CSI, and CSI stands for Carlson Student Information. We had a lot of fun with this actually, but we created this year, and it's got a wealth of information about the student. And some of the information that you glean from here is what you put in on other documents. For example, let's see, the student ID number will be up here. It's right there, actually. This student ID number is 10-000. This is supposed to be a blank form, but we tried to populate a little bit for you, so this way you can see it in this PowerPoint. But you'll have the student's sex, the date of birth, their age, address, and then some of the information that will already be populated on here for you are information like the students' courses that they're to be taken while they're in Carlson, their EL level. So this is information that you would wind up putting onto the payroll register. Let's see, what else?
Medical expiration.
The medical expiration date. That's over here. Expiration date. The medical expiration date is a number that is a date that you're going to need again and again. This is right in here is the diagnosis box. That's where the nurse puts in diagnosis information. Of special concern is that if you ever see over here where it says no ill contacts, it's very critical that you make sure that you do not serve that student if you are coming down with something. If you're in doubt, make sure you speak with our nurse, because when it says no ill contacts, that means that that student basically has no immune system and is very susceptible to other types of illnesses. Over here is where it has additional notes for the teacher. That's where you might have some notes that come from me, that this way, it points certain things out to you, like student has shown some aggression in the past toward peers. It might have different types of information I want you to make sure that you're aware of. Okay? And I think that's it. Oh, no. Before we say that's it, the register payroll, what I do want to say is that the register payroll is to be emailed into your rep every Friday after your last student is served. When we get those documents, those email documents in, then we go in and we're often here, our SAA and office staff is often here on Saturdays to make sure that you get paid, and the information that you put in there, we wind up putting in on Saturdays. Okay, so it's critical that after your last student is served on Thursday or Friday, that you email your registered payroll form in to us. Thank you.